Well, mine was pretty simple. I was in health and wellness and I was asked to speak at a health and wellness seminar. And the lady that was running that seminar, I was watching her because, obviously she asked me to come speak. So I'm like looking at her. Every time I saw her, she looked like, I don't know, a half a year younger and half a year younger and a half a year younger. And I'm like, what is she doing? That is unreal. Well, before that, I had been in a car accident. And I lost the use of my arm actually when I was at the scene of the accident. I was in a very small car. I was hit from behind by a big truck and I was pushed into another truck. So what they tell me is that I had two accidents that day. So I am not a person, and I apologize to any MDs on here. I'm just not a medical person. I don't go to the doctor for much. And they were trying to get me into the ambulance because it's like, honey, you cannot lift your arm. I'm like, I'm fine. I'll be fine. I'm gonna go get into some Epsom salts bath. I'm gonna be good. And I said, I'll call my husband. He can come pick me up. So he gets to the scene, and I had told him on the phone, I can't lift my arm. And he said, okay, okay. But when he got there and saw that I couldn't lift my arm, he's like, babe, you need to get in the ambulance. I'm like, I called you here for backup. I'm not getting in the ambulance because it was a Friday night. I didn't want to go spend 9 hours at the emergency room only for them to tell me to find an orthopedic on Monday. So I went home and I could not lift my arm. And so I got thrust into the medical system. And for 10 and a half months, I worked super hard to get my arm just even off of my side. I At 10 and a half months, I was able to bring it halfway to my shoulder, halfway to my shoulder. And finally, the guy said, and I had been to three different rehab type situations, and he said, look, you have two options. You literally can go have surgery, or you can look at stem cells. I had already done the research on surgery, and there was going to be a 60 to 65% chance that it was going to work, which was not good enough for me. I just have a disdain for hospitals. I just didn't want to be in the medical system. So I said, okay, tell me about stem cells. He said, well, he said, you get a shot into your shoulder. He said, basically, you have a 30% chance it's going to work. They're $10,000 a shot. But the good news is we can do it as many times as you need to, but insurance doesn't cover it. I'm like, yeah, sign me up for about 10 of those. No. So I went back, read this person that had told me about these, patches that I was going to be going to her conference. I told my husband, I said, look, I want to order these patches that she's wearing. Not really, I was not thinking much about my arm because I really didn't think anything could help that, but I thought it might make me feel better about the situation because I was not happy being in my 50s, going into sort of the senior year, so to speak, with a problem. I had never broken a bone. I'd never been in the hospital. I had my child natural. I just don't do doctors or hospitals. So anyway, my husband ordered them, got her number, and we just signed up, didn't even sign up in the binary, just signed up as a customer because I thought, let me just try these. I don't want anybody to call me. I just want to see if it's going to work, that kind of thing. And so had him on for 2.5 months. And one night my shoulder was aching, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe my shoulder hurts. It's never hurt." And he was rubbing my shoulder. I finally fell asleep. The next morning I wake up. He said, "How's your shoulder?" I'm like, "Oh, it doesn't hurt." And I just kept going, "Oh, it doesn't hurt." And my arm is over my head. And so I have had no further problems, no surgery, had not had to do anything else. My arm is completely, I can do anything. And I could not lift it past my shoulder. So completely, absolutely no further problems at all. And that was just on X39. Now, since then, I've been on them almost a year in July, and I use them all. And so my skin is so much better. My sleep is so much deeper. I'm a much easier person to be around,
Yes.
baby.
Amen.
Amen. And we do have one more story if we have time to tell it for Mick. Is that good?
Absolutely. We'd
Okay.
love to hear that. Thank you so much. I mean, that's a lot for you, Alisa. That's
Uh,
like pain and skin and sleep. I mean, just so many things in like 1 year. And you didn't have to have surgery.
no, after 2.5 months of just X39, my arm is up over my head and I've had no further problems. I was having to compensate before, I mean, not another problem with my arm, nothing. Completely healed, completely. So yeah, it's been great. Fantastic.
Amazing. Well, let's hear from Nicholas. Wow, how's your journey been?
Well, I started after her. I started after the conference when she signed up and got to be a business or a brand partner. Um, I started on the patches at that point, And really, I don't know what I was expecting. I just didn't want to be left behind. I didn't want her aging backwards and me getting older, right? And plus she loves me and she wanted me to, be around as healthy as long as I can be. So I started on the patches now for as long as we've been married, 33 years.
33 years.
My cholesterol has been through the roof high. Like, and
Over-
and I do I go to my physicals. I get my blood taken because I'm that kind of person. I like to know what's going on. But the doctors don't like me because I won't take any of their medicines. So, but my cholesterol is always high, but I refuse to get on a statin. I know that is, just a chronic disease thing. They're trying to line their pockets with my money on that stuff. And I don't think it's that. I'm not a believer that that's the end all be all. So I was in the 300s all the time for 30 years. My cholesterol's been in the 300s. So I started on the patches in August and really, not really looking for anything to do. There was other stuff that happened, but the big thing, our church had a blood drive in October. And
Can I tell this story real quick? I want to jump in because I always jump in. That's what we do. Anyway, he has always gotten his blood. It's always been over 300. I would always have to, like when we would go in person, I'd go with him to kind of fight the doctors off of the fact, because they would say, well, if you're not going to take my advice, you might want to look for a different doctor. And I'm like, look, it's not like we're trying to be difficult. It's just that he doesn't have any risk factors. What can we do to prove that he doesn't need to be on a statin? Well, you need to get a cardiac calcium test. Okay, so we did it. And the doctor told me, because this is an actual doctor that was referring people to me for other things. But anyway, she said, Alisa, I'm telling you, as high as his cholesterol has been all of his life, there is going to be an issue. And you've got to promise me that if that cardiac calcium test shows something, that you will entertain a statin. I said, I promise you, I will. He got it done. It was zero. He had no issues. But I'm telling you, his cholesterol has never been under 300. Keep in mind, we had his blood work done for the year. So he already had his blood work. It was over 300. And then our church had a blood drive for someone in our church. And one of the perks was they would give you a Chick-fil-A sandwich and your cholesterol reading. So, yay, cholesterol reading. Anyway, he gave blood. I didn't, because I don't do that. I don't do anything medical. So anyway, I'll let you tell it from there. So
Okay.
yeah.
So from there, I waited a few days, called the blood drive people here, and gave me my total cholesterol score of 264. So on the patches for what? Just a little over 2 months.
2 months, and it was down 40 points.
From
Wow.
from 300. Now I'm typically over 300.
Yes.
So, but my cholesterol level that previous January was like 304.
Yep. 304.
But 325 was not unusual for me at all.
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, my skin also got much better here. I have a work a day job that can be kind of stressful because I manage people, and it can be kind of stressful. And actually, it doesn't bother me much anymore. I mean, I rarely get like frustrated with these people anymore, which is a great side effect.
Yes.
I sleep better, and I do have back issues. Hence the chiropractor visit in the gelato shop in Mexico. But that kind of trip normally would have set me down for a week for sitting that long on planes, on buses and stuff to get there, because it used to just be like that. But no problems at all. I suffered nothing from going there and coming back. So I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm
He doesn't even
wonderful.
go to the chiropractor anymore. I mean, if we know we're going out of town and we're going to be on planes for 8 hours and things like that, he'll get an
I'll
adjustment
go get
before we leave.
a preventive tune-up.
Yeah, but otherwise, he's not been back to the chiropractor.
Yeah.
Listen, it has been a miracle in our life. It might not sound like a miracle to other people, but the fact that I avoided surgery and that I have the use of my arm, that is a true miracle in our life. And it happened in 2.5 months. That might not be anybody else's story. That's our story, because it might take 9 months for somebody else. It took 2.5 months for my arm, and it took 2 months to get his cholesterol down. So it's a miracle for us. Absolutely.